Hey everyone. We all know that as great as the holiday season is, it can still be very tough sometimes. Family dynamics, old histories, stories, and triggers can get us feeling constricted and often wondering, why do we even do this? So in this video, I'm going to give you some tips that are going to make it easier to navigate this holiday season with your family. Tip number 1, don't base the future off the past. It's really easy to start putting people in a story that makes it so the way they acted yesterday is also the way they're going to act tomorrow. So when we're dealing with family members, it's really important to remember, don't try to predict their behavior based on what they just did, because then you're going to treat them based on their past rather than as a human being who can make choices that is different at any given moment. If you do this, you're giving your family permission to be different, to change, or to stay the same. You're not putting them in a box. When we put each other in a box, it creates really unhelpful dynamics. It makes it so that we start treating each other as these rigid beings, and then we make everything worse. For example, if you have a family member who gets under your skin and antagonizes you either consciously or inadvertently, and you start reacting to them as if that's the way that they're going to continue to act, that reaction is going to continue to trigger them to do the same things or to get more and more escalated with that situation. So, tip number 1, remember, let the future be the future, a blank slate of which we get to create on rather than something that's already been written for us. So how do you do that? Well, you do that by in the present moment, just allowing people to be who they are, practicing your mindfulness in order to see them for what they are and without adding a bunch of story and your own personal belief to it. And you'll see that as you do this, you'll start to be able to see how you are playing into the very thing that you're resentful about. So if you can learn to take a step back and stop playing the game that you don't like, then maybe you'll find the game that you do like and somebody else will be willing to play it with you, whether it's a different way of relating to each other and getting along and so forth. Tip number 2, use mindfulness. Mindfulness practices have been proven to improve our brain capacity and our prefrontal cortex to make us more patient, resilient, humble, and peaceful. When you learn how to follow your breath, be in the present moment, and just watch your own reactivity happening as you're with your family, you'll be able to laugh at yourself a little bit and see how silly the whole thing can be. And being able to take a step back and just watch everything happening can be very helpful. For example, sometimes when my brother and I start bantering back and forth and getting into a hostile dynamic, one of the best things I can do is stop talking and just watch myself get all riled up, as if there's something really at stake for me here, as if I have something really to protect here, as if it really matters so much whether I'm right or wrong. I can just let that go and watch the whole thing happen and have the humility to just step back a little bit. And so tip 2 is mindfulness. Use mindfulness, whether it's meditation or being in your body or visualization, whatever it is that gets you going, use that as a tool to interact with your family in a positive way. And remember, treat your family like you want to be treated and look for the best in them, not for the worst. When we look for the worst in each other, then we bring out the worst in each other. When we look for the best in each other, we bring out the best in each other. So look for the best in your family members, and hopefully the best will come out of you and them. Tip number 3. And tip number 3 is let go of being right. Because if you have a significant other or a family member or a friend or whatever it would be, and you're so attached to being right that you're willing to sacrifice the relationship, then that's not good news. You want to care more about the relationship than whether or not you're right. And in order for the relationship and the dynamic to work, sometimes you have to let go of being right so that you can have a relationship where both people get to move forward. So this holiday season, see if you can let go of being right and just be in a good relationship where two people care about each other and want the best for each other. And all that stuff about being right, just put it on the back burner and you can pick it up on the way out the door when you leave back to your life for the holiday season. Now, again, I know that one's not easy because we get super attached at times, speaking for myself, to being right about certain things, especially in family dynamics where we feel threatened or we feel like we have to protect our own dignity or righteousness. But I think if you can practice this, what I've noticed in my own life is that it gets easier and easier to see that it's really not that important to be right, because having a good relationship with someone is much more rewarding. So this whole holiday season, your 3 tips are: number 1, let go of the past and don't let it predict the future. The future is something that you can create together. Your future is not based on your past. Number 2, use mindfulness techniques to get away from the trigger and just watch it happen, and bring a little sense of humor in to see how silly it is. Tip number 3, let go of being right, because being in a positive relationship is much more important. Thanks for listening to my holiday tips. I hope that you all have a great holiday season with your families or whatever you may be doing, and I hope this applies to you in some way. Also, thank you for watching and subscribing to the Soul Tree Project. It's much appreciated, and I just am really so grateful for all of you out there who continue to watch these videos. All right, blessings.